Hello and welcome to our auditorium session, Distributed Ingest Demystified. I'm very happy to have our Ingest expert, Aurelia Brell from Woody Technologies, with me today. Hello, Aurelia.
Good afternoon, Joanna. Thank you for having me.
It's very nice that you're here. Thank you. So in the next few minutes, we will talk about the importance and also the challenges of distributed ingest. Aurelia, as a first question, why are we talking about distributed ingest? What does it mean exactly?
Yeah, that's a good question. What do we mean by distributed ingest? So actually, there are several reasons why we use this distributed ingest word. The first one is that people are in different locations. People who are doing ingest, people who are operating the tools. You have different offices, you have remote workers, you have people working from the field as well. So for that reason, the ingest tools need to be distributed. And why we also talk about distributed ingest is because the production systems themselves are distributed. You have on-premises systems, sometimes different systems in different cities. We have many customers doing that. And you have the cloud, and you have on-prem and cloud production systems. So that's why we say distributed ingest, because the ingest system is no longer something that you put in one place. It's a global solution that it can be deployed in different places with communication, of course, between all those tools.
Thank you very much, Aurelia, for this introductory explanation. So can you tell us a bit more about the concrete challenges your customers are facing?
So they're facing many different challenges regarding ingest. Actually, one of the first challenging that they need to address is how to deal with all the kind of sources I have around. You have the files, you have the camera cards, you have the production companies sending you finished content, you have people working from the field with their smartphone, you have social media content. So the first challenge is how to build what I call an ingest highway for all these different kind of source content. One of the challenges is how to deliver to multiple systems, because more and more, as we said, the systems are distributed in different locations, and you can, even in the same organization, now that organizations are growing and consolidating, you can have different production systems in the same organization. So how do you feed all these systems from the ingest solution? Another challenge is how to make sure the content is compliant in terms of media format, compliant in terms of metadata. And this is a very, very important topic, because a lot in the workflow depends on this first step being done correctly. So if everything is correct from the beginning, then the rest of the workflow will be smooth. If it's not, there will be struggles, and there will be waste of time and extra resources needed for that. Another challenge I can mention is how to deploy ingest tools when everyone is in a different place. How to make it easy to deploy, how to make it easy to train people to use them. It's one of the big challenges, not only for the ingest, but for the global production workflow. You have people everywhere. Fine, the technology is great. It allows you to work from everywhere. But what about training? What about deployment? What about the local equipment that every user needs? This is a challenge that a lot of organizations are facing right now. So yes, basically these are the main challenges, and maybe the umbrella challenge above all of the others. How I, as an organization administrator, how do I have a global overview of what's going on, what is going where, how do we have the proper monitoring notification tool to make sure that I can have an overview on that. And you know what? We have some solutions at Woody Technologies to address all these challenges.
That's what I thought.
I'm doing the advertising guy a little bit.
No, I like it. Please go on. It's really good. So yeah, thank you very much, Aurelia, for sharing these insights. So working remotely is a complete standard nowadays. Is there, does it bring any significant changes in the way you design an ingest solution for your customers nowadays, this work?
Yeah, it completely changes it. And truth is that there is almost no request that we get nowadays that does not include the remote ingest. So remote ingest is now like a standard requirement when you are building a production system and when you are building an ingest solution. So of course we have focused, and we are still focusing a lot on this topic, and it's a big part of our effort to make the local ingest and the remote ingest being a single, consistent, and easy to deploy and to maintain solution. So we have completely integrated the needs of the remote ingest, which are obviously different from the local ingest with additional technical requirements, different devices, a lot of different specificities of the remote ingest. But the way we addressed it at Woody is that not now we build the remote ingest tool. It's more how we make our ingest solution being fully operable and usable also remotely. And this way we can propose a consistent solution that is completely integrated in the customer workflow, and where you can get an overview of what is done locally, what is done remotely, in an harmonized way.
And are there still people needed on premise? Or does it mean that there's nobody needed on premise anymore? It just works automatically, everything?
Yeah, yes and no. It depends. It depends for what. What we see is that what on-premise means when you are moving the production system to the cloud. There is no real premises anymore. I think in the long term, obviously systems will have moved to the cloud, and there will be less and less people on-premise. Now we are somewhere in the middle of this transition, probably still at the beginning of this transition, where people are moving their infrastructure to the cloud. What can we do to have less people on premise? We can automate a lot of workflows, and that's what we offer with Intuit Exchange, for example. And what we can do as well is to have some systems that remain on premise, like the live recording system. Now we were seeing Intuit Live, the live recording system that we have, the live signals for some of them are still baseband signal only available on premise. But what we can do with a proper tool like the web-based scheduler and controller that we have for Intuit Live is that we can move the operators off the premises. Sometimes this production system can go off premises. Sometimes the contributors are working remotely, but also people operating and working on-prem resources can work from the outside, and that's, for example, what we have with the Intuit Live web scheduler.
Thank you. So I suppose that distributed ingest doesn't mean necessarily that there's a cloud infrastructure involved.
You are right. It's not always the case. We have sometimes cloud infrastructure involved and sometimes not. What is interesting with cloud infrastructure for distributed ingest is that we can leverage the cloud to host the ingest system and to host the files on their way to the premises, even if the production system is still on premises. A good example is the project we did with NBC Network last year for social media and web content ingest. So in this situation, people using the system were located everywhere. So, of course, we hosted the social ingest into its social system in the cloud. Makes totally sense. But the production system is still on premises in that case. And here we enable the distribution from the cloud, leveraging the Azure cloud and using the Azure blob storage to host the temporary files. And then these files are retrieved on the different sites of the customer by Intuit Exchange. So in that case, the answer to your question is yes, there is cloud involved. But you can also build distributed ingest workflows without going through the cloud, with point-to-point delivery of the content. And for that, we integrate different transfer technologies. Of course, the standard FTP, but all the transfer acceleration protocols also that we support. We support transfer acceleration from File Catalyst, from Signiant. I think it's the wrong slide. Sorry. From Aspera. And all of these technologies help to be point-to-point distributed ingest workflows, especially because in all the Woody software you can define different ingest profiles. So it means that even if you go to point, you can have your profile to ingest to Paris, you can have your profile to ingest to Amsterdam, your profile to ingest to New York. So without any cloud infrastructure, you can still do distributed ingest. But obviously, the cloud infrastructure is growing, and we have more and more things deployed in the cloud.
Thank you. Let's talk about sources quickly. What kind of sources need to be handled for distributed ingest?
It's basically the same sources that you have for local ingest. So what we are dealing with is files and the professional camera cards. That's I would say the basics of the ingest solution for the file-based. And for all the file-based ingest solution, we have also other kind of content like the non-professional devices, smartphones, drones. Drones are semi-professional, let's say, GoPros and so on. So we also handle all these kind of sources in our set of tools. You have also all the content coming from the web, from social media, from file sharing platforms, Dropbox, Google Drive, and WeTransfer and more. And we have all the live sources. So of course the baseband sources, now moving to 2110, but also all the web streams, the NDI sources, the remote interviews happening more and more with Skype, Teams, Zoom. So all of these sources are eligible for ingest, and yes, that's why you need solutions for all these cases.
Perfect. So let's go back to Woody Technologies and your different solutions. There are many different solutions. You have to cover all the different ingest needs. So maybe you can tell us a bit more about them.
You are right, there are different solutions, but at the end, it's to build a global solution, a global ingest solution. And it's really important to understand that all the Woody products are based on the same core. This is the Intuit workflow engine, media processing engine that we've been developing for years. And on top of this technology core, we have created specific solutions to address specific use cases. So when we are talking about solutions here, the solution is the global thing, and we have products with specific user interfaces to address all the different use cases we are facing. So Intuit Access is the tool that we have for the file-based and camera card ingest, and it's the same tool to work locally or remotely. So with Intuit Access, you can upload your files, you can browse your camera card content, you can prepare, preview, select what you want to ingest, and you can send it to the local or to the remote production system. And Intuit Access is also available as a mobile application for the remote ingest. Intuit Social, also built on the same core, is the solution we have for the ingest of web sources and social media content. So you have to work now, if you are doing news production, with content coming from the web. And I would say not only for news production, but almost in all cases. So Intuit Social is dedicated to that. We have Intuit Live, of course, for all kind of live sources. I mentioned before the NDI, the web streams. Intuit Live is really a solution that allows you to deal with all these sources in one user interface and in one single platform. So you don't need to deploy multiple live ingest systems to address the different kind of sources you have around. Intuit Exchange is our platform to, as its name, to exchange content across systems. So of course it's ingest, it's not only ingest, it's also publishing. But for the ingest part, it's about all the automated workflows based on watch folders or triggered by the API, all the content that you need to transcode, transfer, with, of course, the metadata handling to make sure that what you deliver to your production system is compliant. And all these four solutions that we've seen, of course, they are based on the same technology core, but they can also be integrated with each other, which means that we can build a very consistent global ingest solution for our customers.
Thank you very much for this overview, Aurélien. Coming back to Intuit Access for the ingest of files and camera cards, can this also be deployed widely in an organization? Like, how many users can you handle?
Yes, it has to be deployed widely in an organization, especially when you are doing remote ingest, because remote ingest means that many people from inside and outside the organization can contribute with content. Intuit Access has been designed for that, and we have totally integrated the need of remote ingest and then the need of wide deployment. That's why we've worked with our customers, and we're still working with them on how to automate the deployment of Intuit Access to make it very simple for administrators to deploy it on hundreds of client computers. So you were asking how many users we can have. We can have hundreds of users using Intuit Access. What we've also done, because deploying is one thing, maintaining the configuration is another thing. So Intuit Access offers a tool to manage centrally the configuration of all your devices, your smartphones, your laptops on the field, and make it easy for you as an administrator to decide who will have which parameter, who can use which ingest profile, without any need at any moment to go physically on the client computer. So that's really a big achievement that we've done here with Intuit Access to make it very easily available for hundreds of users in an organization.
Could you maybe share some customer examples with us where such distributed ingest solutions are in use? I think this would be very interesting for our audience.
Yes, of course, I can talk about a few projects that we've done recently. I would like to be back to the Intuit Social for NBC News, the solution that we've deployed. It's an hybrid solution, partly in the cloud and partly on premises. So as I mentioned before, now that's the next one. If we can go back to the social one for NBC would be great. So I can explain you. So Intuit Social in that case is deployed in Azure Cloud. It's fully operated and maintained by a Woody team. It means for the administrators of the customer, no updates, no maintenance. This is all taken care of. It also means that all the users from everywhere can connect to the user interface and use the Intuit Social service. So Intuit Social comes with a search user interface where you can search content per location or per keywords. And it also comes with a plugin that you can directly use in your Google Chrome web browser. What you see here, and it's very distributed, could not be more relevant for this workflow, because we have here 7 systems on premises which are getting the content from the cloud, of course, when we say getting the content, it's the media, but it's also the metadata, and delivering that to the production asset management systems, which are Avid production asset management systems deployed locally in each of the bureaus of the customer. Another project that is very interesting about global and distributed ingest solution is the 9 network project we done in Australia last year. Here we have many different sources, both local sources and remote sources, contributing to several systems on premises. So here the systems are still on premises. These are different MAM and PAM systems in the same building, but we have contribution from everywhere to all of these systems in a standard solution. So it means that for the user contributing to PAM1, PAM2, MAM1, it's the same workflow, it's the same tools that they are using, and we can see here that we have also the distribution to other sites. This is what you have at the bottom of the drawing, because with Intuit Exchange we can also distribute content from this production system to other production systems outside of the organization, or just in other offices in other cities of Australia. I can also mention a French broadcaster that is currently deploying a system that will be hosted in 2 private data centers in Europe, in different countries, with contribution users everywhere, working on laptops, on workstations, on smartphones, and sending content to these 2 systems, which are at the end seen as one system by the user, because the media management main layer is hosted in AWS Cloud. So this is another example. I have another one. We had a project last year where the production system is located in one country, but all the users are working remotely for the contribution and for the editing. So this is Ingest tools distributed everywhere where the users are contributing to a central system and then editing done remotely. So with multiple references of customers now using the Woody solutions for distributed ingest workflows.
Thank you very much for sharing these insights with us. So, of course, I'm a bit curious now, what's on the roadmap of Woody technologies in the future? And how are you planning to improve your workflows that are already in place? Maybe you can tell us a bit more.
Yeah, so as I said, we have a strong focus on the remote ingest. And with this strong focus on the remote ingest, we are working more and more on automating the deployment in one hand. And on the other hand, we want to simplify what needs to be installed locally on the ingest station. And we want to be as little as possible installation on the client computer. So that's why we are going to announce very soon a clientless ingest application for all our customers doing remote ingest. And I invite you to join our user group meeting later today at 5 p.m. To learn more about this new ingest user interface that we will be offering to our customers. Other improvements that we are making for the remote ingest is working on how the configuration is done to make sure that the metadata are going from end to end, because remote ingest means that someone is doing the ingest on one machine, working, adding some metadata, and then the process will continue on another server, and maybe again on another server, depending on the overall architecture. So we have been improving the configuration of the ingest profiles in Woody to make sure that this is easy to do, this is easy to configure, and you preserve the integrity of media and metadata along all the workflow. And then another very important topic of the roadmap is the monitoring and supervision of all these workflows. When you have distributed ingest workflows, you have many things happening in many places, and you need to know what happens. So we've improved the notifications part already, and now we are working on the supervision part to make sure that we give a good overview to the administrators of what is being done.
Thanks so much, Aurelia. As Aurelia mentioned earlier, you are more than welcome to join the Woody user group meeting at 5 in our virtual coffee bar, and then you'll find out more about all the things that are on the Woody Technologies roadmap. You can also join Aurelia right now in the coffee bar. He will be there and happy to answer all of your questions. And also I'd like to mention the Woody product demo, which will start in about 10 minutes, I think. So thank you so much for listening and stay tuned.
Thank you, Anna.